Hello and welcome to another episode of Bum with a Wrench. I'm your host Daniel, and on this episode, hopefully we can get this 65 hardtop two-door Galaxie completed and ready for the power tour. I have 2 days to complete this thing because Friday morning it's got to be at the power tour. So late last night, I was digging through emails. I haven't been paying attention to any of that kind of stuff. And I noticed right off the bat, I had a couple emails from signs.com. Don't ever use those guys ever. They're garbage. Every bit of their process is garbage. I created the file that I wanted. I uploaded it. I paid for it. I clicked purchase. I did all of that stuff. And then they put my order on hold. I called them this morning, first thing in the morning, and the lady's like, well, you know, the sign that you picked, it had 3 colors and you had 5 colors, and you know, I mean, it was one just retarded excuse after another on why they didn't expedite my order. Because not only did I design it online through their website, by the way, so if it was 5 colors when I designed it, so shouldn't you charge me for 5 colors after I designed it? I paid for the signs. I paid for expedited shipping. I paid to have it overnighted to me. So you would think if someone went onto your website, designed something, paid a lot of money to have it overnighted, that maybe, I don't know, maybe you just give them a call and say, hey, there's an issue with your order that we need to discuss so that we can overnight it to you. No. Let's just put it on hold and then everybody go to lunch. And then 3 days later, not even worry about it. So I called them up this morning. Really nice girl on the phone. You know, I try not to yell at the people on the phone because I know it's not them doing it. It's their process and their horrible company that's put me in this position. So, of course, I canceled the order because there's no possible way they could resolve their issues with my order and get it done and ship it to me so that I can have them on the car by Friday. My wife told me when I was doing that I should have just went to a local company. So, you know, that's what I did first thing this morning. Getting a little bit of a late start this morning because I had to go find a sign company that would actually design and make what I need. I showed them my basic design from my original, and the guy looked at it and he said, oh yeah, no, I can do something like that. So he's working on that. He told me it shouldn't be a problem getting me the signs for tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow I can get this thing all stickered up. Hopefully tomorrow, like, this area is done. You know, I mean, I got the whole left side off, whole front off, hood off. You know, it's a good place to be 2 days before you gotta be somewhere. You know, have your car completely blown into pieces. So last night I stayed 1:30 a.m. 2 a.m. I don't know. It was late. Is what I'm saying. And I got the rear brakes plumbed in. Not only did I get the rear brakes plumbed in, but I also I mounted the proportioning valve. So let me get you in here and show you what I got going on. So I was trying to figure out a place where I could mount this thing. And remember, the distribution block for the original was on top of the frame rail right there. This thing was just too big. It wouldn't fit right there. So I drilled some holes in the frame, tapped them, put some bolts through, put a couple washers on the backside. If you can see those, just 3 washers for a standoff to come off. And then I think that's gonna work pretty good. So I've got the 2 lines at the top are the in, front and rear. Then I've got one here at the front that's a front wheel, and I got one here at the bottom that's a front wheel. So what I'm thinking is the one at the bottom, I'm going to bring out over and then go around this power steering gear, grab this this part of the frame right here, and then go up and basically mirror what the original was going up and over to this right hand. The left hand comes out the front right here. So what I'm going to do is come out 90'd up, and then maybe like a short, like a little kick backwards. I'm going to go right through that hole right there and out the other side, 90 down to the frame, 90 across the frame, 90 across the frame, 90 down the frame, and end up right there. So that one's going to look a little interesting because it's going to pop out right here, go across, and then come down in there. Those are fine. The hard one, the very, very hard one to make, is the one I made last night. So you'll notice there's a stick hanging out of the back of this thing. That is the rear brake. So it comes out of that block over here, across here, 90's over, follows the frame all the way down, jumps up over the pad to hold the 3-link, goes across that, grabs the frame again, up the frame, across the frame, and then into the flexible. That thing was, oh man, was that thing just a mess to make. You can see it was hard. This stick right in here got a little bit wavy because of how much I had to actually bend it to get it into the car. It was, by the end of it, I just wanted to burn the car to the ground. So, and then I've got all of the lines off of the distribution here on the axle, all the way out to the drums. All those are done. Crossed this, all the way over to the drum. So this is all good. Everything in the back is now brand new stainless steel brake lines. New flexibles, new stainless steel brake lines, all the way across the car. There's a Ford engineer out there right now laughing because instead of putting it on the body side, like you think they would, like they did the fuel line, they put the brake line on the frame side, trapped between the body and the frame. I mean, I guess maybe in production, that was the easier way to do it, because as the car is going down the production line, you can just attach the brake lines, and then the body comes and sits down on top of it, which the fuel tank is connected to the body, and the fuel line and the brake lines are on the frame. I don't know. But there's clips in here. This is a little clip. There's a bolt to it, but the only way to get to the bolt is to pull the body off the frame. I ain't doing that. So I stuck a screwdriver in there, bent the clip out, got the brake line down, and then stuck a screwdriver back in there and bent the clip back. So this got a little tweak in it right here, because when I was trying to get it up through here, it put a little bend in it. So, you know, it is what it is. I like nice, crisp, clean brake lines. You know, you spend a bunch of time bending and measuring and angle-fying, and, you know, this has got a nice lazy swoop that goes up. None of this touches the frame. It's all real nice. I was thinking maybe I need to put a bracket right here to kind of hold this and give this a little bit of, because this does have a little bit of wiggle to it. But yeah, anyways, that's all stuff I can address later when I pull the body off the frame and powder coat the frame, and I can fix the brake lines a little bit more, straighten them up, make them a little more crisp and straight. But so the rear's done. So now all I got to do is go up there on that block and run the 2 front lines, which shouldn't be that hard. I'm not going to say they're not that hard, because every time I say that, you know, I end up in this position where I'm here at 2 a.m. cussing and screaming and throwing tools. So I'm not going to say that those are easy, because I don't know yet. And then I got 2 that need to come off the top to go up to the master. So I know in the beginning it seemed like taking this side of the car off was a bit excessive, but hopefully now you can see how it actually is going to save me a lot of time and a ton of headache. So what I'm going to do on those brake lines is I'm going to 90 out, 45 back, do a twirl, and into the block. Both those will look similar to each other. The twirl will happen kind of underneath of the booster. You know, because I have these lines. I have the inner fender well that goes right here. So the good part is I have 5 Galaxies. So I could go look at any of them, and especially the red car, because it has the inner fender well on but the fender off. And so I can look to see how much room I actually have to play with, because 65, 66 are almost identical in this area, at least, as far as brake lines and routing and inner fender wells and fenders and that kind of stuff. All that stuff is almost identical. So it pays to have a shop full of the same cars taken apart in the same way. Yeah, it does. It's what I keep telling myself. Yep. Yep. Okay. Let me get working on this. What I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to make the right front brake line, and I think I'm going to bend up probably 90% of it, and then maybe I'll bend up the last little bit on camera. I like using stainless brake line. I know a lot of guys don't like it. I like it. It's rigid, sure, it's tough, but the positive aspects of that is when you go to roll it out, because it's rigid, it won't just roll. You know, like when you go to unroll the roll, it doesn't just mold into another bend the opposite direction. To me, it's a lot easier to roll it out and get it nice and straight. I saw a trick on a guy online. He actually took a 2x6, drilled a hole through it, through the width of the 2x6, the size of the brake line, and then he draws the brake line through it, and that actually straightens out the brake line. I thought, man, that is cool. Too bad I don't have any. Well, actually, I do have some 2x6s. Anyways, I've done it enough to where I know how to do it, and it comes out nice and straight, even though that, like I said, that one line right there is kind of wavy, but I had to bend the line in half to get it up in the car and then stretch it back out. So I like stainless because I feel like it actually ends up straighter and nicer. The downside to stainless is flaring it. But if you guys flare a lot of brake lines or need to flare one brake line, this tool right here is an absolute lifesaver. So you have your different mandrels. The kit comes with a bunch of different mandrels. You have your mandrel. You put you put your line in. Put your top mandrel in. Then you get your wheel of terror, whichever wheel you pick. It's got all your sizes and stuff on there. It's got all your little doodads. And you'll notice one of these doodads is flat, right? So you put your wheel of terror in. Your brake line, you just shove it in there. If it's you want it sticking out, it's what I always do. Close your clamp of death, clamp it down, right? Now your brake line's held, you don't want to clamp it down hard, you just want to kind of close it and put a little pressure on it. With your flat one there, that will level that out. So now your brake line is exactly level to your mandrel, right? Twist that back, crank this down nice and hard, grab your line real good, twist your wheel of death to the appropriate setting, and they give you step one, step two, basically green step one, orange is step two. Then you move this and it puts your single flare, right? Then you move it to step two and it puts your double flare. Too bad it won't remind you to put your little fittings on the end though. So, but if you do any brake lines, especially stainless, this thing is a lifesaver, absolutely lifesaver. And the flares that you get out of this are the most perfect flares that you could possibly make. And this thing is called what's this? Tool Guy Republic? I don't know. Owner's Manual, Safety Guide. It's a HT 1600 and HT 1650 brake line flaring tool. So, got this on Amazon, in case you're wondering where I got it. Pretty much you can pick anything in the shop, and either I got it from Amazon or I got it from Harbor Freight. Yep, good tools, except for Milwaukee, of course. A lot of that's, well, Amazon maybe. Well, yeah, Amazon. And then some of it is actually Home Depot. But this thing, absolute lifesaver. The other thing I use this for is if I need, like if I bent my angle on my brake line and it's off just a little bit, I need to clock it, I'll actually take the wheel of death off. Now there's nothing here, you got room. I'll clamp my brake line in here so that it holds that spot nice and hard, and then you can slowly give the angle correction that you need. And so if you're off, you know, a degree, 5, 10 on your bend, clamp it in there, give it that little bit of, and then unclamp it, and you don't have to worry about your angles going all to hell because you tried to give it a little tweak, you know. Anyways, I'm making the third episode in this saga crazy long just by babbling. I should have called this show Babylon 500. Can't call it Babylon 5 because, you know, be some Star Trek guys that would get mad. It wasn't a very good show. Anyways, yeah, so let me back to where we were 15 minutes ago. Let me bend up that right front brake. I'll save the last little bit for you guys. I'll bring you in so you can hear me cuss and scream and throwing tools as I try and plug it into that proportioning valve. Cool? Okay, give me a minute. I'll be right back. All right, guys. I know I told you that I would bring you back in on that right front brake, but there's nothing much really to show you on that one. I felt like if I brought you in at the master cylinder, that would actually kind of show you a lot more on bending techniques and why you should do master cylinders the way that they're done, that kind of stuff. So I'm at the master cylinder right now. Everything else is done except for this brake right here, the left front. And the reason I'm leaving this one for last is because I'm not sure if I have enough stainless steel brake line or not. I'm running super low. I thought I had enough, but it's looking like probably not. So with the master cylinder being one of the most important parts to get done, because once this is done, then I can build this side of the car again. I can always build this left front at any point with the car together or apart. So it would be easier with it apart. And I will build one because I have to build one. But it'll probably be out of like your regular, whatever the aluminized or whatever the regular brake line material is. So I'll probably have to make a run to the parts store and grab a stick and hope maybe they have stainless. That'd be awesome. I would love it if they had stainless. Doubt it. Very doubtful. Pro tip. Always got pro tips. Put a little piece of tape on the end of your brake line after you've made it. Well, one, blow a little brake clean through it, blow it out, then put some painter's tape on the end. That way when you're sticking it in the car and you're dragging it across the frame and everything else, you're not getting a bunch of junk in the line. Okay. Oh, hey, you want another pro tip? Here, I'll give you something that not a lot of people know. So check out the exhaust manifold. So I've got, I don't know, a few 100 miles on this car. You can see where the head itself has burned the paint away and started rusting. But look at the manifold. You see how it's still nice and gray, nothing wrong with it? So the way you do that is go to your local media blaster. If you have a media blaster, like one of the Harbor Freight ones like I got, media blast it, get it totally clean. Do not touch it with your little greasy fingerprints, and set it down on a piece of cardboard and spray it with graphite. You can find some graphite spray. I got it off of Summit. They had to special order it. Took a week or something to get, but I mean, they had it for sale on their site. If you can find one, faster than that, great. But spray it down, put a couple coats of graphite on it. When your wife goes to the mall and goes shopping, crank your oven up to about 400, 450. Put these on a baking sheet, slip them in the oven, I don't know, half hour, I don't know, just bake them. 450 degrees ain't gonna hurt those, ain't gonna bend them, it's not gonna really do anything. But what it is gonna do is it's gonna burn off that, it's gonna bed that graphite onto the pipes. And then with nice clean fingers, preferably gloves, mount them to your engine. The first time you fire that thing up and run it for a good heat cycle, it'll burn that crap in, and they'll always look like that. So the 7-liter has it done actually, and it looks still like this. And that thing's got, I don't know, a few thousand miles on it. I don't know how many miles are on that car. Not very many, but okay. Back to the brakes. I feel like I've been here forever. Finding silicone everywhere too. Okay, so the plan is, I'm going to try and keep you guys over here because I don't want to kick the camera. But I am going to kind of angle you down a little bit. I know all you see is my gut, but so I can see the A-arm. You can see all the way. Well, you can see pretty much. Well, not really, but. So back over here in this area that you probably can't see. So you'll see the shifter linkage right here. Right underneath of that shifter linkage is my proportioning valve, which I need to put a piece of tape on the top of because I didn't do that on this one. Okay, I'll do that here in a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to come out of the master on a quick 90, right? I'm going to bring you along for only one of these, and then I'll do the other one off camera. So we'll probably do, we'll do this one, and then I'll do this one by myself because this one's a little bit harder. So we'll come out of here, quick 90, but we're going to 90 backwards. So we're going to 90 on like a 45-degree angle, just to where we get right around in here somewhere, right underneath the booster. Then I'm gonna curl, but I'm gonna curl to the inside. Maybe 2 curls, maybe 3, not sure. We'll see how I feel. And then I'm gonna continue that. So this will kind of come, maybe more than a 45. That'll probably be a pretty tight angle. But as it curls underneath here, you wanna keep kind of tight curls because I don't have a lot of room. And I need room for 2 curls. So I'll come back, I'll curl to the inside. I'll show you what I mean by that. And then come out of the curl and come down. And then basically what I'm gonna do is just kind of wrap back down, and then right to where I get to about with that, where it lines up with that, with this fitting right here, I'm gonna kick it down to the frame. Kick it down to the frame, and then I'm gonna follow that frame kind of all the way back. I want to bring it up in altitude just a little bit off the frame as I get close to that proportioning valve, because making really tight 90s is hard to do. And so you want to give a little bit of altitude, but you want that frame for stability, which I have a gnarly slag weld right there. I'll grind off so that it doesn't interfere with the brake line. But so you want a little bit of altitude. We're going to 90 over, so off the frame, 90 over, and then we need a 90 down. So that's why you want that altitude, because when you hit that 90 down is when you're really going to, you got to final stick it at that point. So at the end, the final 90 bending down is probably only going to be like that high. So we're going to, when we do our 90 over, that's when I'm going to go ahead and set my fitting on, flare my end, and then I'll bring it over and 90 down. And at that point, if I'm a little bit short, it'll just drop down a little farther. If I'm a little bit tall, it'll just push it up a little bit farther. You can plan and plan and plan and plan all day, as much as you want, making wire frames and all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, the brake line is going to go where the brake line is going to go. You can tweak and bend on it and get it to fit a little bit better, but it tells you what it wants to do. You don't tell it. So you just want to coax it into the direction that you need it to go, and make it line up to your best ability. Always leaving outs. So like I said, you're out in this situation right here is that when we hit that frame channel and then we get up in altitude and then go more of like a level coming back, that's your insurance policy. So because it's off the frame and because it's just hovering right there, now you can go this way, you can go this way, you can basically go all the directions with it to make it hit that home run at the end. So in this example, I'm going to show you with, I'm not going to freehand it. I'm going to show you the easier way to do it for beginners, which is basically to use some, and I'll use some aluminum rod. So get some welding rod, get some TIG rod. I'm going to use some aluminum because it's easy to bend. So get that. I'm going to get my little bender. Now I have three different size benders. I have one with a really long swooping bend. I have one with like a medium bend, and then I have this little baby one. And basically I've been using all 3 of them in this project because, you know, depending on the type of bend you need. So I'm not, in the beginning, you're just putting in a 90. It's that easy. So your first bend is always the easiest bend. You don't got to worry about getting your degree right or anything else like that. So this is it. So we're going to come out of the block right like that. And so you remember, you don't want to go up too high, because if you go up too high, we have this one to deal with still. So you want to stay kind of on a angle kind of like that, because you're going to want this one to follow that same angle, and you don't want it to hit the booster either. You know, when you get these two parallel to each other perfectly, that's, I mean, it's that symmetry that really makes the difference between, you know, a good artist and someone that's just trying real hard. So, and really this is every bit of an art form. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something like this, and then we're going to pick a spot. So, and the spot doesn't matter, but it does matter. And I'm going to explain why I said that. It doesn't matter where you pick, but it does matter as long as you leave enough room for this one to do something similar, right? So, this first one, I'm going to make that first coil here, right? So that when I come down with this one, it's going to go right past that first coil, and it'll do its coil right here. Things you want to think about when you're doing this is where the coil ends and how it comes out. Because if this one comes around and it does a coil and it ends on this side and then it comes out, you're limiting what you can do on this coil, so now this coil has to come out here, which now pushed you farther to your firewall. So when I do this first coil, it's going to coil in, and it's going to do one full loop. So it'll be a half to a full to a half. And then I'm going to have it end on this back side of the loop. At that point, we'll go ahead and give it a kick, bring it down to the frame. Once it meets the frame, we'll give it another kick. So let's do that right now. So what we're going to do is let's pick a spot to start our coil. So if we come here, I'm thinking right just back from this power steering hose. So I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm just going to mark about where I want to start my coil. And I already don't like it. So if I start my coil here, remember my coil is going to go in. So this would be the far end of my coil, and right where I'm at is kind of where I want my coil to end. Now the other thing to consider is how big your coil is going to be. What I recommend doing is just getting a bottle, and that's about how big I want my coil. So if that's the case, I want my coil to start somewhere around here. I'm going to go a little long, because you can always take out, but you can never add back. Okay? So I like that. Now, when you start this, the only thing you have to worry about at this point is where this 90 is. Okay? You want this 90 pointing, because we're doing an inside coil, you want this 90 pointing inside on your coil. So I'm just going to hold that there. I'm going to grab my bottle, put that across. I don't know if you know. Yeah, you can see this. Okay. See me struggle like an idiot. And then I'm just going to wrap under, not over. Wrap. Once you get that first part, you can kind of just hold it in place. Just make sure that 90 is positioned right. And then I'm going to do a wrap, and that's going to be basically it. So metal has memory. You can see, you know, you can get a kink like this when you're doing your main brake line. And where I find that you get a lot of kinks like this is when you use the aluminized or whatever the cheapy brake lines are. You really don't get kinks like that too much when you use stainless. Stainless, like I said, stainless is more rigid. It's harder to use, but it's also easier to use because it is more rigid. So that's what we've got. So now we've got a coil that's a little bit too far in. So I'm gonna bring that back a little bit more. Right about there is where I want that. Now, normally if I was freehanding this, I would be doing all this just freehand. So bending it exactly like I showed you around the bottle, but I wouldn't be, this would be the main brake line. This wouldn't be a welding wire. So now I need to continue this bend around. This stuff is so easily bent. It's hard to get nice coils. Use the bottle again, see if I can. Now remember, the metal has memory, so as you bend it, it wants to go back to where it was. So you always bend it past. Now, be careful when you do brake lines that way. Because if you bend it too much, you could end up kinking or cracking or breaking your brake line. All right, so let's stick that on there now. So yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. We'll bring this back out. Okay, that's not bad. So now all we're gonna do is we're just gonna give this just a little kick. We're gonna spread the coil out and maybe even tighten it up a little bit. Kind of shape it. And you can do this with your brake lines too. Just hand shape them. Just little bits, little bends at a time when you're hand shaping. Okay. Now I didn't leave a lot for this brake line. So this brake line is going to come down and it's going to go right over top of that brake line, and then it's going to start its coil here. And then basically, I'm going to go ahead at that point. Now I'm going to put a 90 in this to bring it down to the, well, a little less than a 90. I'll bring it down to the frame. And believe me, as you start doing this, you're gonna look at it and you're gonna go, oh, that's so ugly. Keep playing with it. That's all it is. Just keep playing with it. Like Dory says, just keep swimming. All right, that's pretty much the end of our welding wire. But that's okay, because the rest of it is pretty basic. We can freehand everything from here. It's getting this coil where we want it, making sure it's going to work for what we need. Looking at this now, I could have also positioned this, well no, I have to be careful because I have to remember there are lines here. So there are these lines that run right here. So this is going to be like that. Yeah, see, I wouldn't have been able to do that because these go right in here. I knew I wanted to go behind that for a reason, and that's why. Double, triple check everything before you finalize, guys. So it doesn't leave me a lot of room to go through here, but I can go through there. And then what I can also do is give this a little kick, and that'll kind of bring that coil down a little bit more. It's okay if the coils kind of rub on the lines. It's not going to hurt them. It's not going to hurt the lines. It's not going to hurt the coils. The other thing you can do is tighten the coils up. So if this bottle is too big, go to a smaller bottle. Be careful though, the smaller radiuses will be more prone to kink. So don't go too small. It's better to start with like kind of a minimum size bottle like this. And then at that point, kind of just roll them by hand until you get that coil that you like. Take your time with it. There's no hurry in this. If you hurry on this, that's how you end up with just horrible looking lines. So this is pretty good. I think this is a good starting point. I know it looks like it's probably going to hit a lot of stuff. You know, it's the way it goes. So we can move the coil out a little bit, pull it down. And so that's not too bad right there, I think. So if we're there, dang it, get in there. Yeah, if we're there like that, I think that's good room for that one. For this to come down and then kick out and then go over into its coil under here and then drop down. Okay, so the reason for the coils do two things. A lot of people think they're only for one reason, but they're actually for two reasons. One, if you've ever bled brakes before, you know that these things move. The guy pushing the brake on the inside, this thing's moving around, right? And you know if you bend and unbend and bend and unbend and bend and unbend metal, it finally breaks. That's one of the purposes to the coil. It's to allow this booster and master, because you know it's going to move around. I mean, I'm dramatizing it. It doesn't move that much, but it moves enough. The other reason is this is a long piece of brake line that's hanging out in the wind. It's subject to vibration. It's subject to movement. There's no way to anchor it to anything to hold it nice and still. This coil acts like a dampener. So it's going to allow you to mount this and have brakes for forever, really, because all that is going to be sucked up in this, just like the spring on your car. It's going to get sucked up in this. The other thing it allows you to do is what most people think it's there for, is for removing the master and then just pulling this out of the way. Yeah, it's there for that too, but its main purpose is to dampen vibration. So I spent a lot of my younger years, teens, right out of high school, in high school actually, doing brake development. I just worked as a technician, trying to cut my teeth on being a mechanic, and I always wanted to work on race cars and hot rods and NASCAR and all that kind of stuff. Kid dreams. I did most of them. Doesn't pay very well, by the way. But I learned quite a bit. And one of the things I learned in that is, one, how to make brake lines. I have made more brake lines than you can count, than I can count. Like, there's tons of brake lines out there. And we used to have contests to see who could make the coolest looking ones. And so, because you get bored, you have to sit there and make brake lines. So, you'd make all this fancy stuff. They'd be running right next to each other, doing the same bends. I mean, all kinds of stuff. You'd spend so much time sitting there just making them look so awesome. And you get done and you're like, yeah, check mine out. Go over and check out the other guys and see how his turned out. Total art form, definitely 100%. I don't give a crap what anybody says. When you're building something like this, that is art. So let me get this bent up, and then I'm going to bring you back in here and show you what the final piece looks like. All right, guys, we're back here. Got the car running. Trying to burp the radiator. Let that coolant, let the thermostat open. Sorry, it's kind of late. It's like probably 7:30, almost 8 o'clock, quarter to 8. Still have all this to do and the transmission. So just trying to get this part done. I got the new heater hose connection on and ran. This always makes me worry when it gets up this high, but I've never had it go over yet. So, I mean, there's always a first time. So last time I checked the gauge, it was at 150. So it's probably pushing up close to opening up now. It's got a 160 in it. So idling a little low, about 530. So I need to set the idle up a little bit. I adjusted the timing to 9 degrees, but the idle's a little low. So my plan is to burp the radiator, get that good, and then once that's good, then I'll start tuning on it a little bit, get it to run a little better, tune the carb. I already adjusted timing, so I'll keep an eye on that and see how that's going. Come on, open up. Got to be getting close. Oh, gauge says 180. Why isn't that open? That's gonna overflow. Why isn't it opening? Crap. Brand new thermostat. It's gonna overflow. Shit. Massive mess. Crap. Yeah. That's about my luck. That's how this week's been. Right there. That sums up my week. All right, with that, I'll be back. All right, well, on the plus side, the floor's clean. You know, really not much to say. I'm kind of waiting for the floor to dry, then I'm gonna lower the car, check to see how hot it is. Probably still pretty hot. I might just service the transmission with it on the hoist now. I definitely need to get it off the hoist and take it out and, you know, pressure wash the engine. Strange thing, so two things. One, thermostat didn't open as we saw. And then two, the fan never came on, which I never had a problem with the fan before. So, not really sure what's going on there. I have another brain in case it decided to, you know, leave the party. I do have the radiator out of the 7-liter. That's got a good fan on it. If the fan went dead, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I don't know. I need to go through and run some checks. Obviously, I'm going to pull that thermostat out and throw that thing in the trash can. But before I throw it in the trash can, right as all that happened, and I let you guys go, the owner called me, and you know he is someone I respect a lot, especially his opinion. And so, you know, of course, he told me, you know, I've had a lot of 390s, and because it's the 352, 390, 428, same motor. He's like, you know, I've done a lot of thermostats. He's like, what you need to do is check before you just throw it away. And he's right. You always find the problem before you try and fix the problem. Because if you just try and fix the problem, you'll never find the problem. And so I need to look at everything real well when I take it apart, find out exactly what failed, how it failed, and then that'll let you know what you need to do to fix it. So in engineering, that's what we've always done. So let me get on that, and I'll try and figure out what's going on. As soon as I figure it out, I'll bring you guys back in and let you know. All right, I'll be back with you. All right, guys, just like before, I recorded a lot of video before I did an official sign off. So I think it was like over 2 hours worth of video. like I said, I was just really focused on trying to get the car done. In fact, in that last bit right there, as this video comes to an end and you saw the big eruption of the overheating, I forgot to even, I mean, we were at brakes, and I was going to run the brake lines, and then I cut out and it came back in, and now all of a sudden I'm revving the car up, trying to get the coolant to open. I skipped over the whole brake part. I'm wondering if maybe I'm lost a video or something. I'm not sure, because I was building the brake lines, showing you guys how to do that, and then I was like, okay, now I'm gonna go off and do that, which I did. Came back and built them, bled them. They all worked great, and then apparently now, got the motor running. I was really focused on trying to get that car done. It was super late. I know all of those nights were like 2 a.m. So 3 a.m. on one of them. So it was very late night. So you have to excuse the filming there for a second. With so much video, you think I would have like the correct part that fits in there, but apparently not. I'll go back and check to make sure I'm not over skipping a video, but usually the GoPro, it just lines them up, but maybe it put a different serial number or something by it. Anyways, I'm going to cut this video off here. It's already pretty long. I think it's going into an hour. Next one's going to be about the same, be about an hour. So again, thank you guys for watching. As always, like and subscribe. As soon as I push this one out, I'm immediately jumping in and editing the next one. I know I've got, a couple more hours of film. So I'm going through and editing, trying to get everything out as it happened leading up to the power tour. So again, thanks you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Tell your neighbor, tell your dog, tell your mailman, UPS guy, FedEx guy. If DHL still stops around, tell them to. All right, guys. I'll see you next time.